Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. We're here, we're live, and it is a very busy day in Planet Sorare. We've had the early access champion cards dropping out, and it has just been absolutely pandemonium. We've been booked on tonight for a Champion Euro strategy show. Thanks to everyone who did catch the last couple of streams we did. Last week we covered the changes we have had in Challenger, and I think the week before that we touched on Contender. So it only felt right, and especially with the early access cards coming out, that we assembled a crack team of Sorare aficionados from all across the globe to come in and do a bit of strategy pre-season chat with us. And we've got a bunch of guests with us already today, and we'll probably have another couple gate crashing the stream as we get rocking in. But we couldn't do a show like this without my co-pilot, my partner in crime, the one, the only, Harry Trades. Harry, my man, good to see you.
Good to see you, mate. Yeah, thank you for asking me to come on. Yeah, buzzing for it. Obviously, we did one last week for the challengers or contenders, wasn't it? One of the two. And
of course,
yeah, this is obviously the creme de la creme, isn't it? Of Sorare cards and launches and all that fun stuff, mate. So yeah, no, I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah, great to have you. And I tried to get him on one of the earlier streams, but this man is just so busy, you wouldn't believe it. And he was so busy that he almost didn't make kickoff for the stream tonight because he had to go and take the dog for a year-old walk. It's everyone's favourite goalkeeper, PSU fans, or goaltender, I beg your pardon. PSU, good to see you, mate.
Hello, good to see you. Yeah, I was told that we're having a discussion on Rangers of Glasgow today. So I was like, all right, well, it's time for me to finally make an appearance. But I see that Quinny changed the topic. So unfortunately, I guess I'm talking about Champ Europe.
Old bait and switch there, the old Davy Proper on you, or the Turk Proper, Robin Proper. One of the Propers just went for it. And I think it's his debut on the channel. He's definitely had me over at his place, and you know, we couldn't again do one of these big streams without getting one of the Make It a Double guys back on. We had Azzy last week, actually, as the penny drops for me, and this week we've got Simo. Simo, good to see you, mate.
Hello, lads. I'm just going to sit here and wave like I'm on Family Fortunes at the start.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, good to see you boys too. Excited to get involved. Fed up of looking at loads of cars rolling by that I can't afford. So yeah. Good to talk a bit of Champ strategy and hear your boys' thoughts.
That's it. Well, Champ strategy is normally so far anyway, from most of the stuff I've heard, centred around what is at the centre of the universe, which to every football fan, as we know, is the Premier League. And to try and get a little bit more of a Premier League flavour into the show today, we've got one of the newest Sorare scouts and managers around the block. It's everyone's favourite FPL convert, Andy. FPL mods, good to see you, Andy.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Yeah, I feel a little bit out of place here because obviously we got some Sorare experts and I've only been playing for a couple of months, but I appreciate you bringing me on. Thank you.
New kid around the block, taking down rivals, running into D1. Don't sell yourself short, big man.
Yeah, no, I know. It's it's been going well. I quite enjoyed Rivals actually. It's got me a few little players, which has been quite nice. But yeah, I'm all about getting these Premier League players today. So I've already bought a few and just been kind of building up my gallery and seeing what happens when the season rolls around.
Well, we were chatting before we come on, and I think Harry got into a bit of this chat as well, but you've been busy today, Andy. You've been dipping your hands into the early access pool, haven't you?
I have indeed, yeah. I needed some defenders, so I purchased Gavardiol and I got Romero as well, because I know they kill it in the game, so I thought I'd invest. And I think it's one of those things where you might as well get a few of the big hitters because you're going to need them when the season rolls around. So yeah, so I went for it, but I think I'm done now for the evening, he says. Famous last words. Yeah.
Well, is Auction Fever grabbed any of you guys for early access? PSU, you're normally getting in amongst it.
Yeah, I made a purchase about 20 minutes ago. I bought pure Coop Miners.
Ooh, yes. Mini Coop.
Yes,
not even in season.
Yeah, no, I didn't get an in season because I don't know when they're going to put another one up. So I just bought an old season.
Okay.
But there's my purchase for the day. No, I was at the gym when they launched everything, so I'm just waiting and seeing on stuff. I've definitely been monitoring the prices a bit. I put my mark on quite a few of the super rares that are coming up. We'll see if I go for any of them, but I definitely am seeing some prices that are of interest to me, especially at the rare level that I've been watching. So we'll see what I go for here a little bit later in the day.
It's been a big split across the scarcities already. I was listening to Harry's podcast, The Value of Talent, earlier on, and him and Feder were giving it the old the forensic treatment, going through, building a squad, the top prize value, and all that kind of stuff. So I recommend, if anyone's after that kind of strategy chat, there's a great podcast out on Harry's channel to cover that stuff. But in the vein of that, I actually went and I got the little Sorare data page where we can see all the auction prices of everything that's kind of crashing out for us. Because like some of the prices have been a wee bit surprising so far, haven't they?
Yeah, there's been a couple, like I think goalkeepers. I don't know if it was that surprising, but just the actual like ratio to old season is just not very high. And I'm not saying that's a shock, but they're like stupidly low, I would say, on some of the cards I've seen go. Like not even 50%, 10 to 20%, if that sometimes. So is that making the old season card look too expensive, or is that, in season cards too cheap? It depends which way you kind of look at it, right?
Yeah, I think the classic market is a wee bit tougher to kind of bridge the price against, because like, it's a totally, so like you're buying the in season, like you guys were looking at the price of Works, for example. Works is probably a really good example, because you're not buying that in season for under 23. That is like concurrently like a champ play kind of thing. And the kick up on price for that wasn't too bad, was it?
No, I don't think it was like 670 quid, I think Verts went for. In season, I don't know what you can pick. Well, I'm having a look now. What can you pick up? His old card for 500. So yeah, it's about 50% on a Vert. I know there's midfielders and forwards and stuff, so makes it a bit trickier. But like goalkeepers are basically the same price as the old card. Definitely at rare. I don't know exactly about that in limited. There might be a bit of a jump, or more so of a jump. But yeah, Jack Pearson saying in the chat there, Pickford in season just sold for less than his classic one did on the same day. So tells you all you need to know. Yeah,
goalkeepers are funny as well. Like goalkeepers are your base play.
Yeah, and you kind of want that to be in season, really, because then that allows you to have that elite old season outfielder, right? So if you can get the in-season goalkeeper for the same price, if not cheaper than the classic, you're laughing, right? Because then that allows you to have your smasher old season card.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is that there's like no real rhyme or reason on these auctions. Like I've seen some cards where the first one that auctioned off went for like 30% less than the one that went like 3 hours later. And then I've seen others where it went for less, and I've seen others where it went for the same. It seems like it's just like sort of all over the place, where maybe people just aren't prepared for it at first, and then it's like, oh, this is out there. Like, so Rodri, that was the one that I was the most interested in. So his first one came out and auctioned at rare level for 0.466 3 hours ago. After that, there was an auction for 0.503. Then after that was an auction for 0.477. So I was just sitting there. I'm like, I just am surprised how the auctions are going with that sort of how that's going.
Have you seen the instant buys? They're putting out instant buys at basically the floor price of what they've sold for. So Rodri actually got instant bought earlier, or there's one up, sorry, for...
Yeah, the 0.477 was an Insta. There's another 0.522 that's on Insta. So I wonder if people are more prepared, and then when they're seeing them go for more, they're willing to pay more.
Mm-hmm. Like an Insta buy went for less than the Rodri auction, basically, by £70.
Josh says there's a glitch on it, so maybe that's a short-lived advantage maybe for some people. Andy, how did you find auctions for the cards you were picking up? Did you find there were, like you're telling me there's a lot of bids coming for you, but the ones you end up getting, how did that all shake out?
I think there was a lot. Like there would be 20, 30 cards all finishing at the same time. So it's quite a lot to kind of keep track of. I think if you had in your head the ones you wanted to go for, I think it's fine. But if you just went in with I don't know what's there, I'm just going to see what's available, that definitely wasn't the tactic today, which was definitely mine when I was looking after my two boys for 20 minutes. So that definitely wasn't the tactic. But I think there's definitely some bargains that were there, but there's just so many that are going on at the moment that I think it was tough. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you said earlier, by the way, about there's a weird disparity. Sometimes they would be going for a price you're thinking, how have they gone for that? And then other times they're going for 50% more, and it's quite surprising. But I still thought, after watching the first lot of cards come out, what was that, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? I thought we were going to see that same kind of price increase, but it's not been as much as I thought it would be. Like, for instance, like you said, Rodri, he was only going for about 170 today, I think he went for. I was expecting that to be like 200 plus based on what he's going for normally. So, yeah, there's been some surprises, but yeah, it's obviously first day hype, isn't it? But I'm wondering whether people have got no money left after spending it all the last couple of weeks.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think bringing Contender out first is like a mistake from Sorare's part in some way. I know their leagues come back earlier, so it's tricky, right? But like everyone just spunks on the early ones, and then they just got no money for the champion cards. champion cards should be going for more than contender and challenger on average. And I don't know the exact maths and the averages, but like we saw crazy prices for those contender cards, like insane. Like the Kareem Kanate is going for like 4x the limited, and then everyone started. I think Simon, you might have had a classic, didn't you? I think I remember you saying, did you buy a classic Kanate or was it somebody else?
Yeah, that was it. I bought a classic Kanate for 35 quid, I think, on the same day as the new season came out. And that went for 130 or something.
It's
maybe
like,
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
People were like realizing, hang on a minute, if the in seasons are that, there's no way the classic's got to be 3 to 4 times cheaper. And I just think a lot of people have just spent their money. Like, I do think and the league doesn't start this week. And I know we've banged on about for months now that Sorare need to bring the cards out earlier, which I'm not against. But I just think the flip side to doing that is the hype, the FOMO isn't as like powerful, is it? Because the league doesn't start for 2.5 weeks or whatever.
I've definitely felt a little bit of that with Celtic coming back this weekend. That some of the prices like took a little dip off, and then they're maybe having a wee pop back up as the deadline kind of draws closer. There's a great little comment here from Blue Tomatoes as well, which kind of paints into the whole kind of strategy element of the stream tonight. But cards being good is cards being cheap being good kind of thing. And I definitely think like, the kind of mess like Andy was talking about, where it's just like there's hundreds of cards closing like the now. It's dead easy in those situations to like be sucked in to like a bit of auction fever, and like all you've got on your phone is the auction you're in right now, and you've got this like personal 1v1 battle of the bank cards for someone, and it just gets a wee bit out of hand perhaps. But ultimately you do want, nice cards to be somewhat affordable, so it is fun. So you can build a team that you're excited by and you can go for. And like, think about those multiples, like thinking about the cards Andy got, like Guardiols and Romeros and stuff like that. If they hit the sort of multiples that you'd have maybe expected, or maybe even bigger ones than the contender ones maybe had, then those cards would not be in some of the galleries they're in at the moment. Which I think you want, especially limiteds, but you want them to be as reasonably priced as possible, because they are like, especially the limiteds, much more of a consumer good. There's much less opportunity for like capital appreciation on them in a dramatic way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's interesting. It is interesting to see. Like champ cards don't look any more expensive than some of these contender cards we've seen.
Yeah, I think just touching on what Harry said a minute ago. I mean, for me, I'm in no rush to pick up these cards. The league doesn't start for 2.5 weeks. For me as a Liverpool fan, probably the squad of released cards is exactly the same as last season. so I don't think I'll be picking up any Liverpool cards unless any transfers come in. But obviously the big ones are like the position changes with Saka, obviously, and Anthony Gordon and Cole Palmer. So I'm unsurprised that those went for quite a lot. But that, I think I watched something that Harry put out earlier, and that Saka card effectively changes everything, doesn't it, in how people are going to approach this, not just from an Arsenal stacking perspective, but from how teams look overall in Prem and Champ.
Big time. But then do we see a run up in the next week and a half now, when people like, does the FOMO start kicking in, like when he said with the Celtic stuff coming out this week? That does then cause a little spike in SPFL cards. The Premier League cards, whenever Bundesliga comes back, I think it's maybe a little bit later than Prem or earlier, one of the two. Like, do they start climbing up again? Like Sean said, the first Rodri went for X. Does Rodri 15 go for actually a bit more than that because it's close to the season? Maybe.
Well, they're adding more special weeklies that weren't on the original list, so who knows? They might add a champ one if they realise that the cards aren't selling for what they want them to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which wouldn't surprise me.
No, not at all.
With the changes of positions as well, like it does kind of really put the cat in amongst the pigeons for like the Premier League specific competition, because I know, again, that's been a chat that's had till the cows come home about the forward options you've got in that division. So 2 big changes into that region. And just as I kind of bring that up, we've got one of our gate crashers. It's been a long time since he's been on the channel, but we're glad to have him back. Long overdue. It's Nep and the Z, the Pinfizz. Good to see
Hello,
you, my
mate.
man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hello, guys. How are we all doing?
Not too
Hello.
bad. You say Bukayo Saka's name, and he and he appears just like magic. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Couldn't just sit and listen anymore. I was like, I've got to go and join in on the chat.
Love it. Have you getting your hands dirty today?
No, mate. No, I think I'm definitely going for a classic strategy. I just want to farm classic as much as possible. Maybe lean towards in season. Halfway-ish through the season, but no, I think my classic gallery is extremely strong. It's hard to stay away, especially from the Arsenal cards, but I've got to do what's right for the gallery, not what's right for my twitchy fingers,
Will you be buying a Saka forward?
No.
Oh.
No.
He can't even look at himself there when he says that.
No, it's like, he's not going to be... He'll be one of the best forwards in the Premier League, but not, he might be the best. I don't know. But his price is going to be extortionate. And because I'm not playing in season in the Premier League, unless I win some really key pieces, I've already got like Isaac, Son, Salah. Jesus looks a lot better this season as well now he's over his injury. So I've got some like premium forwards already. I don't need to be spending money to play Saka in Classic whilst he's in season.
Touche. Fair enough.
I think the positional change for Saka actually doesn't do much for his score, but it's more what you can do with the rest of the lineup, right? Because you can then fit. You could always go Rodri, Saka, I guess, two mids. But if you're using Saka up as one of the forwards or the forward now, you can go Rodri, and then you've still got an extra position for whoever you want, whether that's Bruno or whoever the smasher is that week, fixture wise. Like it does. He doesn't get any better. It's just where you play him allows you to put better cards in other places, right?
Yeah, even with just Arsenal stacks, you can now put Odegaard, Rice, and Saka all in the same team.
Odegaard.
Yeah. So he's big for that. But the price, the prices aren't, as you guys were just talking about it before I joined, but the prices aren't as extortionate as I thought they were going to be, which gets me even more interested. But then, I don't know if I can.
If to play in Classic, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you really there's no point doing it if you're just going to play him in Classic, right?
I hope so. Yeah. If Son draws a stinker on the opening weekend, then I'll be gutted. So.
So what's the over under on this? Because I feel like this guy's going to have a Saka by the end of August.
Do you know what, Sean? It depends how much I win. Genuinely, because I've got like my classic division, my classic rare Premier League is literally like a full City stack, full Arsenal stack, and full Liverpool stack. And other than City's opening day away to Chelsea, they've all got some phenomenal matchups in those early game weeks. And I've got like really, really high XP on my Arsenal collection. So I'm hoping to at least podium one or two of the first sort of like 4 to 5 game weeks. And I'm hoping to have all 3 of my teams in Division 1 as well. If I win significant funds in the first few weeks, I'll buy a Saka just to treat myself.
We'll probably craft him.
Oh, mate, wouldn't that be amazing?
I'm definitely in the same kind of frame of mind as yourself, where I want to win in-season champ cards, like with the prices being somewhat appealing. Like maybe there's room for 1 or 2, but I do think that's a kind of strategy decision again. Like if you are buying these cards, then you're probably going to be playing for the majority of the season. And if you're not buying especially on early access, then you do need to kind of think about if you're going to play in season this year. And if you are, kind of, how long does it take you to get there? Because I'm not planning on playing in season champ. I'm planning on playing classic like mad. And maybe there's a card or 2 I keep throughout the season, but the majority of them are maybe just going to be market fodder, for the most part, But yeah, I think like the end season, like you are really just buying to play a different competition. I think for most Sorare managers, because champion squads have always been quite expensive to build, and at this stage, like everyone's still got their squads, so you're already kind of like you said, Nip, with the Saka. Like if there's one card you want, it's really hard to think about buying that anytime soon because it's like, why? I might win it.
I did have like the thought process as well behind like why a lot of these premium cards like Rodri sold for so cheap. And it's because I think anybody that is actually serious about playing in season this season is probably going to use classic Rodri in season, right? So they don't need to buy some 5% guy and then try and build his XP up, which is going to cost a crap ton. they'll just use their probable level like 15 plus 3 to 5% collection boosted Rodri, and then just buy the other pieces around him. So it's a lot smarter, and it might be why we're seeing like a lot of the limited prices may be closer to 3 or 4x, but a lot of the rare prices may be closer to like 1.5 to 2.5x.
Yeah, that's a great thought, because it's not just Rodri, but there is like some other big smashers in the Prem as well that equally makes sense for. Like when you're talking about, if we're thinking about just like the Premier League only or one of the single league competitions, you're talking there, Nep, about having like 3 team stacks and kind of playing the fixtures, play the better one in team 1, the worst team in team 3, and maybe pick or choose your kind of extra player, your captains, depending on what's going on. But do we think that's like, in terms of the Premier League in-season classic, that is the most common way people will try and play these modes? Because if it is, then the in-season Rodri, in air quotes, I think is maybe still a bit undervalued in that sense, because if you're going to be playing 3 lineups and you're going to be having the stack on, having more of the same players that could smash is maybe something you're after.
I don't know that there's that many people that can afford to play multiple lineups with Rodri's in them. Maybe Sean, but it's certainly not my gallery. And I don't know. I don't know how many people would want to either. Like, Laird and Sean were talking about it the other day about like having, Sean was explaining like having the best lineup like as many times as you can is like the strategy. But if you get a scratch, like it sucks. But people like that risk variance, right? They don't like to just do that. Even if you could say to somebody after the fact, if you play this one lineup every week, the whole year, 3 weeks, you've like cleaned up and you're like 10x on what you've earned over the whole year. Obviously, you'd like it in hindsight, but in foresight, it's such a risk, isn't it? Because if it just goes wrong, the cost to change one piece is massively expensive. So I don't know, too many people are going to be running like multiple Rodri's anyway.
Fair. I just think with the end season, it's kind of something that I was kind of stewing with there, as you were saying, but like, it's more like what I'm trying to maybe say. I maybe said it badly, but like for the end season to now, like see all the people that are buying early access, there's not going to be too many of them that can cobble together like a high collection bonus collection. So it is maybe a bit more of a game of like getting, like looking at the fixtures and trying to get 2 or 3 defenders that have got good games for the first 5 weeks, same with midfield and forward or whatever. So it's less about getting the Man City bundle and the Arsenal bundle and whoever else. And it's more maybe about playing the fixtures, because like if you're coming in this early, like you'd need the success early. Again, I'm sure people have said that already.
There's also that argument as well for being this early, and like there just being such a less amount of competition that you don't need the smashers off the jump, because you're not going to need them. I don't think the points threshold to at least get the essence or the reward box for the market credits is going to be so high. So I wonder if a lot of people's strategy is like kind of get those kind of like tier 2, tier 3 players, hit the boxes, get $50, $100 market credit, then go and buy a big player with a massive discount on them. It could be a nice way to kind of like build up your in-season. I might be playing in-season. I'm going to probably go and buy Satara.
I'm with you there. One of the main points I'd kind of... Oh, sorry, somebody going to say something there?
No.
I was going to say, I'd sent a few kind of main points out that I would try and just keep us rotating around just to make sure that we don't just end up with a bit of silence in that. But like with so I've kind of got a little note here, 1 league versus 5, in terms of like the Premier League is, in a few ways, like the prize pool, the kind of prestige and all the rest of it, like a lot of the focus is on the Premier League. But even when it does come to like Champion Euro as a competition as a whole, a lot of people I'm hearing more and more, especially after listening to Harry's stream, are maybe looking at not playing Champion as a competition, but playing one of the 3 single league competitions. Maybe, Andy, I'll give this one to you since you're a bit newer, and obviously a Premier League like native a bit more, let's say. When it comes to the Champion competition, how do you feel about building your squad out? Are you more focused on 1 league, or do you see the benefit, or do you see a benefit of trying to maybe put that into Champion? So
when I first started this, and before I bought anything, I DM'd Nellis, and I was like, "Have you got any advice for me?" And he said, "Just as much as you can, just stick with what you know." And I was like, "Well, I know the Premier League fairly well, so I just thought I'm just gonna focus on that to start with, and if it all goes well, and maybe I can branch out later on for like under 23s, something like that." But I've just been doing that, and actually, it's been really focusing me onto what I actually want. And obviously, I know it because because of FPL, but the scoring's very different in Sorare. But I've just stuck with that, and actually I've enjoyed it a lot more. Like I was saying earlier about how many auctions were coming up today. That was just me filtering with Limited and Premier League, and it was still blowing my mind how much was there. If I put other things in there, it would just completely blow my mind, I think. So yeah, I've been enjoying it, actually. I think that's the way I'm going to go, and I think that's how I'm going to do it, just because that at the moment, being somebody that's new to it, just focusing on that one league, I think is the way to go for me. Other people might prefer to kind of, focus on a few more than just the one, but I think it just keeps me focused then, really. And then I can build my lineups with just those players I know, which would be quite nice to start with. And then once I'm completely obsessed, I'll branch out. Although it's pretty much there already.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I was just thinking, like, as we're kind of chatting with the in-season element of it all, like the champion region might be a wee bit vacant, with all the the Premier League kind of magnetising all the cards for that. Same with La Liga, and after listening to Harry's podcast, the Bundesliga is definitely going to be getting a bit more care and attention given to. And we've got that random special weekly for France, if you know what I mean. So, like, in-season champ is like an actual competition, might not be like that ferocious because the cards are so widely dispersed.
Be interesting to see where all like do we see your Rodris, your Sakas, Vinny's, Bellinghams, all the big cards from the 3 leagues that have the native comp? Do we think they'll be flooded in champ, or do we think they'll more often than not kind of be pulled away and played in the the native comps?
Well, I think they'll be played in the native comps, except for when people realize that, this score that was less than what it took to win the Premier League won champ, and champ is better. Like, if you had the option to pick what you're going to win between champ or Prem or Liga or Boon, like, you're picking champ. Like, you get the most amount out of it. So I think what we're going to see is people are going to prioritize the singular leagues, but then they're going to be like, the actual best possible prize I can win is in champ, and people will then start shifting some of the priority there.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I couldn't. When I was talking to Led and Gator Guy about this before my stream today about this, if I win Essence in the Premier League, is that Premier League Essence or Champion Essence?
Based on what they announced, I think it is Champion Essence, but I could be wrong on that because it definitely was not clear. So I don't know the actual answer.
My plan was to like focus hard on Prem, win Prem Essence, craft Prem players, and just keep like churning the Premier League. But if it's Champ Essence, like imagine you've got like imagine like Andy's got just a Premier League stack, and he gets some Essence, draws like a tier 5, and he manages to hit like, I don't know, a reasonable tier 3 player. It's like you've kind of left him a little bit legless. Like, he's either going to have to sell his card or just have a card that's useless to his gallery.
I would have thought there is like League Essence. That's what I would have thought. I don't know why.
So. You'd hope so, yeah. But like, we don't. I know this is not a read. Well, under 23. Do we have under 23 Essence, or is it just global Essence? That's another one that I don't think's really been addressed yet.
But do we know we get Essence under 23? We do know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I think it might be global, just like Rivals. Like, because when you get Rivals limited Essence, it's just like.
But then
anything, isn't
it falls into Nep's point there. Like, if I've got an under 23 gallery and I win a fucking 39-year-old goalie from Slovakia, it's just like, you're hamstring on you, because like, what are you going to do with him?
What does it matter if they're from Slovakia for the 23s, Harry?
Well, the issue is he's 16 years over the.
What you do is you go all in collection just because you want that card.
Well, I mean, that is like literally exactly the hardest thing, isn't it? Because that is every card I get. I don't know who it was out of the box for getting promoted in Rivals, and he's useless. Gaku Shibasaki, right? He's useless. Yeah, I'm genuinely contemplating just buying all of the rest of the limiteds for the team because I want him. And it's like that's what obviously So Rare want. But what they don't want is to like give somebody who's playing specifically, say, Bundesliga, they win a Prem card. Maybe their thought process is they'll now buy some Prem players and play Prem. But I think they'd encourage somebody to spend a little bit more if they won another Bundesliga card, like for what you know. Like if you're in what you know, then you'd be like, oh, I've already got some spare pieces from my first team. I've won a second card. Okay, I will invest a little bit more and build a second lineup. Whereas if they throw it out into somewhere else for the reward. I could probably see a lot of people just selling that off and just withdrawing the money. And everything Sorare built towards over the last couple of years is people just holding on to cards until they effectively expire. And I think that goes against what they're trying to work towards. So I'm really hopeful, also for my own selfish reasons, that they will allow us to like get specific league essence and just rewards as well. Like if you win in the Premier League, do you win a Premier League card?
Yeah, definitely.
You do. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll keep quiet in terms of winning stuff with essence.
We've got the king. Yeah, we've got.
Yeah.
Was in the Mbappe, right, Andy?
Yeah. Tier 5 Mbappe. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Wow,
You and
ridiculous.
Gator guy have both done that.
I think Gators was out of the reward box rather than from Essence. But yeah, that's still phenomenal, isn't it? Was it a Real Madrid Mbappe or?
No.
Oh,
PSG one, yeah. It came up. Yeah, I sold it. Yeah, it came up saying France, and I was like, oh, hello. And then it came up saying PSG, and I was like, oh my god. And then I realised that all their forwards are French, so I kind of tempered my expectations a bit. And then it came up Mbappe, so I was running around my rumor for a little while. But
Are you boys crafting at tier 5 as soon as you can?
I've been,
I'm not anymore. I was during the Euros because it was just really broken during the Euros.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm undecided.
Because they've bumped it up, haven't they? The second one now. It used to be 40 and now it's 50, right? The tier 4 plus.
Yeah.
I think it just makes you want to do it at 20 more. That does, I think.
Yeah, it probably does, doesn't it? Because you're going to go, well, there's an extra 10 than it used to be if you knew it was more than a 40 before. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because I don't know. I've been doing those tier 5s and I've just been getting rubbish, to be fair, which is understandable, right? You are expected to get the tier 5s, but yeah, I've not really looked at all yet. I've only probably crafted 2 or 3 cards overall.
I think I would probably save the Essence if I could guarantee a star. But the fact it's a tier 1 or a star, that's kind of like, do you know what? If I'm already kind of like taking a chance, I'll take it way further down because, for a tier 1 plus, 500 essence, you can literally craft 25 tier 5 pluses.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're just giving yourself a great chance. Because imagine you hit 2 stars or 5 tier 3s or something. All of a sudden you've added like significant value to your gallery. But if you craft a tier 1 plus and you get the bottom of the tier 1 pool that's some like rando DNP goalkeeper that had a couple of internationals 3 months ago, you're just going to be livid. Like you're laughing because it's true, isn't it? Right? That's what happens, right? Like
I heard what you said on Laird stream and Gator stream last week, Nep, when you said you spoke to Sora or something and you kind of gave him the idea of like allow us to do 20, 25 boxes or 20 boxes.
Yeah.
Rather than doing 1 400 or 1 500 essence,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, not to give too much away because she couldn't really say much to me, but she kind of explained how this is like the first iteration of Essence, and there's so many things that they haven't even considered yet because it hasn't existed yet. So they'll take a lot of feedback over the next few months on how to improve it. But yeah, I think that would be massive. Even just like knowing what's in my Essence pot. Like if I have like 13 rare Essence right now, haven't got a clue where it's from. So it might be an Asian card that I'm trying to craft, might be a Premier League card, and I'd like to know because then, again, like if I've got a heavy like Champ Europe Essence pot, maybe I'll save it a little bit more to get a tier 3 plus or a tier 2 plus. But if it's Asian, I'll just open it straight away, or contenders or challengers, I'll open it straight away just to get those cards.
100%.
Someone said on one of our streams, and I thought that made sense, that they don't want you to know because they want you to not be exactly informed on where your essence is because they don't want you to just be like, oh, I have a bunch of champ, this is the best time to do it, or like I want to get rid of my contender essence so that I can fill it up with champ type of stuff. So that was like what I heard, but I don't know if it's true. No, what I think with the essence is like, so I'm in a different probably ballpark than other people because I should in theory generate it pretty quickly. I think at the rare level it's pretty reasonable that I can get 20 to 30 essence a game week. So if I'm getting 20 to 30 essence a game week, maybe even more, like because they're giving it out in the end seasons now too. So effectively, like I have 12 rare lineups in contender, 12 rare lineups in challenger, and then I have it. Let's say I have like 10 between Prem, Bundesliga, all of those, because like I'll have a good amount, maybe not as many instances. So all of a sudden I have like 30, 40 lineups that are really, really good every week. in theory, I should get Essence pretty quickly. So I think for me, it might make sense to wait. But like also like getting a tier 2, hypothetically, like a tier 2. Like I'll give an example. This is probably even a tier 1 or tier 2. But like you, Andy, you said you bought a Romero today. I want a Romero in one of my I think I just want it. But like let's say he's a tier 2, right? That may be like for you, that's like a marquee card. You're able to use it a lot more efficiently. Whereas me, it's maybe not as usable as it is for you. Or like it's still usable for me. Like I'm probably gonna use it every single week. But like for you, that's like, okay, this is my lockdown defender every week. I get to plug this in my top lineup every week. Whereas for me, it's like, all right, he's there. Like I'm gonna play someone here and there. Whereas obviously, if I win an Mbappe, that goes a lot more to the ability what I would need. So I think for me, like a tier 0 goes a lot further for me compared to like a tier 2. Whereas for you guys, obviously they might go further regardless. Like both are great options. And it might be like Nep said, like if you get 25 of the boxes compared to 1 that I would craft, and you get, let's say, 4 Romeros. Okay, well that's huge, right? Because you have 4 different players that are Romero caliber. Like that goes a lot further for you guys than maybe for me. But also at the same time, like, do I really want to wait and plow the worst card in the tier 1 pool after 500 essence? I don't know, because that would suck pretty hard too. So I think I'm leaning more towards using them earlier, but I want to see how quickly I can generate them. Before I really figured out. If I generate them at like a really rapid pace, then okay, I maybe will wait for the tier 1, tier 0 option because it makes more sense for me. But if I generate them at a slower level, it's probably going to be like, all right, let me try to generate some cards, maybe get lucky with one. Because I pulled it during the Euros. Like I pulled a Saka limited with Essence and a tier 5 box, and then I pulled a Messi rare with a tier 5 rare box. But again, I think that the Essence was, let's just say, not how it's going to be going forward during those 2 competitions.
Fair. On that note, we've got an RB Gatecrasher joining us. It's everyone's favourite football guy, the one, the only, Sam Ty. Sam, good to see you, my man.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I have a baby.
Loving the beard.
Oh, yes, it's growing. It's growing every day, Quinny.
Stubborn cut. Fair enough. Great to see you, mate.
And Sean on the beard front.
Yeah, indeed.
Sean shaved his just before the show started.
So funny story, all the white patches used to be orange.
I thought you were going to say, funny story, I shaved this morning.
Oh, that's what I mean. He was freshly shaven before the podcast started.
Jesus.
This has grown over the last hour or so.
Yeah, guys, I listened to 10 to 15 minutes. I was wolfing down some dinner after putting the baby to sleep. So good stuff. Has anybody, what I don't know is, have any of you bought any cards from the Premier League?
I have. I have indeed.
Me too.
Oh, good man.
Don't worry, we've got our shame badge on together.
Sam's gone heavy, by the way.
Yeah, I bought 5 cards. It's a bit of an accident.
Who did you get?
It's a bit scattergun, to be honest with you. I found Premier League Rare to be a little bit better value than I was anticipating. That I might be completely wrong. I reserve the right to be completely wrong. But I got a bit spooked by the limited prices for sure, and I thought the rares looked a bit better. And I've been a bit scattergun because originally I was being opportunistic and thinking, well, that looks like a good deal, I'll get that, rather than having like a full-on strategy. And then in the end, because it was all felt quite affordable, I've ended up with 3 defenders, a goalkeeper, and a forward. So I'll get a midfielder soon. But I bought Nick Pope.
The classic.
Yeah, Nick Pope, Max Kilman, Joachim Anderson, Pau Torres, and Jared Bowen, who all just came up in the auctions, and I thought, that looks like an okay price. I don't know what everyone's strategy for figuring out value has been, but for me, if it was up to 2 times the last classic sale, I was like, I'll take a look at you if you're a card I like. I don't know how you figure out value at this early stage, but in my mind, that was kind of like the benchmark that I set.
Yeah, I love it. I love the kind of the vibe as well with the centre backs, all ball players as well. Sam, you know, got to have the techers to get into your team.
Sure, yeah. Some left-sided centre backs. Maybe I've got a certain type of player that I quite like.
Little fetish.
Yeah, well, I think they're probably just more guaranteed to play because like they're harder to replace. And specifically with regard to Max Kilman, if you spend 40 million on him, he's for his and it's his former manager, he's going to play. Torres starts every Villa attack, going to play. Joachim Andersen going to play. So it was genuinely, in terms of putting together a bit of a gallery with some depth. The first thing you do, right, is you pick players that you're like, yep, 100% starters every time. And then I think once I've got to that point where I can field a team, I'll start to add a little bit of quality. But I have just genuinely been quite surprised at how affordable even doing what I've done so far has been.
Well, did that set you back, Sam, if you don't mind me asking right now?
My wife can hear, so I can't tell you.
The Nick Pope was about 360. I'll tell you that.
To be fair, I can just go on your gallery.
I'll do it in sign language.
Yeah, I know. Do it in
I've
Braille.
got it here. I can put it on screen. I've got it here.
200, 230.
Sam started washing.
640. But that's
Not bad. It's all Bowen and Pope, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I've got
that. Yeah, that's the way to do it, though. I think for the Prem.
We'll see. I mean, look, I don't have. Let's not like beat around the bush. I don't have any outstanding cards, but I have the bones of a team. I'm gonna take a classic mid to try and skimp a little bit on the price. There's some very, very good options.
This is what I was saying before, though. Like what you built here, Sam, is like the first few weeks. It's not going to be hyper competitive, in my personal opinion. So hitting that top 50%, because like for me, it's playing for the boxes. If you get the cash, great. But hitting that top 50%, either getting yourself some essence or some market credits to then improve the players you've got. It feels it's going to be interesting to see how market credits influence people's ability to like upscale their team over the season, because you can't do anything with them but spend them on the site, right? So, you know, do you go from like, I don't know who Villa's best defender is, to be fair, but do you go from like Pau Torres to another Villa defender, or do you go from Pau Torres to like a Van Dijk or, you know, a Ruben Diaz?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably jump out of Villa at that point. But I'm a Villa fan, so I'm naturally pessimistic. So I will just probably try to avoid our players where possible. But Torres at 30 quid, I was just like, just felt like value. It just felt like someone that's going to start game one. And a lot of this is about just building that team. I don't know how much of the discussion's taken place on. There's a lot of forward cards, isn't there, in the Prem? Have we?
Kind of touched on the new members of the class, but yeah, never really took it all in that sense.
It's funny you said that, because I made a video. Go on.
Now, Saka's been moved, and then like
Cole as well.
There's a bunch of players that are already forwards who, you know, it's borderline, like Jared Bowen, for example, who almost never plays up front. And then you've got like some new faces as well stepping in, like Minter, you know, Yankuba Minter for Brighton. He's come in as a forward. McNeil, you know, is a forward, and Burmo is a forward, and Nkunku is a forward. As there's a fair few sort of like borderline cases. Some of them have been forwards the whole time, mind you, but just like it feels like the forward pile has actually been stacking up quite nicely, and it's left midfielders potentially more at a premium. That's my first look at it. There's a lot of forwards.
Yeah. I was going to say, I made a video a few days ago, right, of like just budget Prem players. And normally when I make these type of videos, it's always defenders and mids, right? Because they're just the cheaper cards. And I was like filming the video thinking, I've just mentioned 5 out of 10 of those players being forwards. And like it was like Cunha, Neto, Buemo, McNeil was one of them, like Sam mentioned, and Brennan Johnson. But like that doesn't really happen normally in a lot of other leagues. Like you don't really get like budget forward options that are like semi-viable, but the Prem for some reason is like full of them. Never mind like your Sakas now and your Palmers and Sons, but the Prem seems to have like a lot of forward options, which isn't as like prominent in other regions, leagues, whatever, you know, competitions.
I think that's because outside of the 2 or 3 really elite forwards, everybody else is the same. They're just decisive, dependent,
right?
Players, you know, like I've seen Haaland score a hat trick and finish on 80 points. Like, you know, like it is, but in real life, like he's had an outstanding game like that deserves 100 points, right? It's an incredible performance. And I think there's so many strikers like Ollie Watkins last season. All he did was either a goal or an assist. He never got AA outside of that. And it's like there's so many options that when everyone's that good. No one's that good. So that's why I think Salah and Son specifically were so elite. And that's what I think, even though Saka's kind of overall points isn't probably as high as those two in general, he can get those points without a decisive. And that's what makes him probably the best forward in the Premier League this season.
Yeah. Those forwards that can get to 30 AA without like looking at a D, never mind DAs, Saka, Palmer, maybe, but he's obviously very pen dependent from last season. There's just not many of them. And Saka now is that one. Son, yeah, you could argue 15 to 20, whatever. Salah maybe the same, but like Saka's in a league of his own, I think, now from like Prem forward perspective that can get like 30 to even 40 AA probably in games where Arsenal are literally just peppering, final third passes and corners, chances created, whatever. He could be, in a league of his own.
I've really loved this, boys, but I'm gonna have to leave you, I'm afraid. So I do apologise. And it's a shame. I was a bit starstruck because I've listened to Sam for about 4 years on my podcast, so I've enjoyed having him on there as well. But thank you very much for inviting me, Quinny.
No, absolute pleasure, Andy. Look forward to having you back on again, mate. And
cheers, man. Thank you. Bye.
Happy shopping.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye.
I was going to say a moment ago as well, one of the eternal things in Sorare is no one has ever seen Sam Ty in the same live stream as Gavin Ty, but we have tonight. It's happened. So we can now rule out that they're the same person. That can now be quashed.
That's Sam's wife on the
laptop. Love it. I was going to say just on this forward chat as well, do you think the change of, I think it's rivals based, or rivals driven, but the change for like subs now start on 35 with the forwards we're chatting about, like on my screen with Savio. So like, not saying he's a great option necessarily, but like, those forwards, play every game and are these AA guys that will get 10 to 15 on dribbles and balls into the box. Do you need to maybe worry less if they're a starter now all of a sudden? It's just more about the minute count.
I got a hot take here for you, Quinny.
Oh,
ready? Literally doesn't matter at all. There's no difference. People thought there was a difference right away, and I understand it. But like, if your guy comes on and starts at 30 and puts up 37, or your guy came on and started at 27 or 25, puts up 27, like, it really doesn't matter. And if the guy scores, he goes to 62 or 62. Like, there's no difference. So it's basically like, yes, you get like 10 more points, but if the guy doesn't get decisive when he comes on, he most likely is going to suck ass anyways most of the time. And so therefore it doesn't really matter. So I saw this on Twitter. So someone was like, oh man, this means I'm going to play my Harvey Elliott every single week because Harvey Elliott doesn't start, but he always comes on. And I looked at Harvey Elliott and I looked at his last season for Liverpool, and like in non-starts, Harvey Elliott cracked like 71 time in 30 games. Like, are you really wanting to play that guy? Because I don't think that really is going to get the job done. So sort out starts. So get rid of starts.
Yeah.
This is what Harvey Elliott did. Like, are you really like all
and
about this guy?
They're all decisives anyway, so it doesn't even
they're all decisives anyway, so it doesn't matter.
My belief is that this change comes from being able to game the rival system. I did it for a while because you could just put in some random 25 guy on a low budget on purpose and sub in somebody that is like a premium hitter. Like, if let's say De Bruyne is on the bench for City, I'm going to start some 25-point guy in from City and then just sub De Bruyne on minute 1. And I know De Bruyne is going to come on and have a better impact. So I think it's nothing to do with like pro SO5 and everything to do with just stopping people from gaming the rival system.
That was exactly the Germany tactic in the Euros, wasn't it? With Fulkrug coming off the bench.
Precisely that, yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so I do think it has an impact on rivals. Rivals, I think it has an impact. But yeah, I saw someone tweeted about it when it came out. I'm like, guys, I really don't think this has any impact on. Well, it would have if thresholds were still around.
Yeah, if Cap 240 stayed around, it would.
Yeah, Cap 240 stayed around, you can be like, all right, this guy may or may not start, but if he starts, he smashes. If he doesn't, like, okay, I get 35. It's better than 25. I'm more willing to take that risk. But in like the actual SO5, where it's like, all right, did you put up 80 plus points? Because if not, my lineup's probably pretty screwed anyways.
So Daddy's got to go.
I don't know.
So thanks for having me. All right, guys, thanks for chatting. See you in a bit. Bye bye.
I like the Harvey Elliott example because he does regularly come off the bench and stuff like that. But I'm thinking more for forwards because, like, see those sub appearances that are like in the 40s, they become in the 50s, and yeah, that's not going to win you first place. But like, if for your first team or your second team or whatever, like maybe some more guys are viable to an extent for like your not your prime team, but the roster. If you don't know they're going to start, or you think that they're regular from the bench or something.
Yeah. Are you more willing to take the risk? Yes, probably yes. A little bit.
But then everyone gets that benefit, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
no one's actually gaining, right? In a weird way.
So it's kind of like subs that aren't handicapped in a way, like-
Yeah.
They're still
It's just
handicapped by time.
Yeah. Time's the handicap, right? But
Like-
some players we know don't need that much time to do things on football pitches, especially for like it is a good example, Quinny, because like City last 15, the other teams absolutely just can't run. Savio comes on, starts ripping it up. The chances of him getting a decisive is high, but that doesn't matter the fact that he's getting 10 points or not. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, but if he doesn't, okay, you get 10 more points, but it's like, the decisive part's completely like mutually exclusive from that, right?
I think if you was going to include Savio, the 25 to 35 point difference doesn't change your mind. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make the decision for you.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think it will impact. I don't think I will think about it at all when making decisions. Like, I don't think it would be something that has any influence into my decision-making process.
Yeah, I can see that.
One thing I will say, I think Harvey Elliott will have a good season this season. I think he's growing into his own. I think he's going to get a lot more minutes this season.
Is that just because he's been very complimentary of his manager? He's just like
Quite possibly.
Every chance he gets, he's like, "Oh, he's amazing. Love his time to play. Oh, it's going to be great. It's like, please pick me, please." Which I would also do for the record.
Especially when a lot of the first teamers aren't around yet, and they're slowly coming back. You need to get in there early, don't you?
You get the head start on that stuff, and you might get a couple of games to start the season. Like the others just won't be ready. Like Jack Grealish was saying the other day that he literally said, "I've got a head start on the others in terms of fitness." He's already played 3 games. Grealish will probably play the first week. He'll probably start the season. He'll probably get decisive, and his price will probably go crazy. But then then you're back in the Doku, Savio, Grealish roulette from that point on. So I'm going to do everything I can to avoid it. Everything I can. I may not make it.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I think like the ones that don't come back, like from international duty as much, it definitely opens up some opportunities early doors. And I think Grealish could be a solid one. I was still just looking at this because I get what everyone's saying, but I think maybe what I'm trying to say, I'm doing a poor job of it. But it's just like, some of these scores are just less of a handicap rather than finishing 250 if you maybe end up 180th or something like that, which doesn't really change much of your life. But that was kind of all I was kind of thinking with it in terms of the forward part.
Yeah, so I think the beginning of the season will be interesting because so many, like I saw something yesterday for Bayern, like everybody's not back yet. Like they were like, yeah, these guys are here, and then like nobody else is here. They're like, De Ligt's not here, Kimmich's not here, Sane's not here, Musiala's not here. They'll all be back in like 3 weeks. I'm like, guys, are they really gonna be ready for the start of the season? Because that's not much time.
No, they never are, man. These post-tournament first games are a mess. They're an absolute mess. All the way up and down the leagues as well. Like Villa are going to probably, I assume they're going to stick Ollie Watkins straight in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not back yet. The season starts in 2 weeks. No.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be, and all the other teams are probably going to have to do the same thing as well. And
when you're not the top, you don't really have options, right? Like Villa doesn't really have an alternative, so it's like you got to go.
You got to do it, yeah, for sure. Bayern will probably get away with a little bit here and there, and Barcelona too. But like Athletic Club and Real Sociedad, they actually formed a big part of that Spanish winning team. Like, what are they supposed to do? It's all their key players. Like, oh well, they'll probably lose the opening games. Athletic, by the way, have you seen kicking off the La Liga season on a Thursday? What? Yeah. What's that about? Why have they done that? Who's done that?
La Liga want to get all that TV revenue to themselves for a couple of days before the Prem comes on. That's what I think.
Absolutely outrageous. The big Thursday night kickoff.
I think
It's good for that. We get cards because you get a wee midweek all to yourself if you've got enough cards. I've been in the lineup builder. I'm alright for
mate,
it.
they're all on summer holiday because none of them are back in time.
Right.
Do the Bundesliga still do that thing opening game of the season where they bring on like all the managers from each club and do like a presentation? Or was that just one random season that I saw a couple of years ago?
I'm not sure.
I'm not familiar.
Maybe it's something I've seen.
I'm not familiar with that.
I'm sure there's a Bundesliga expert in the chat. They'll be able to
I swear I've seen it
debunk
before.
that. Maybe. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's weird though for players. I remember Declan Rice saying before he went to the Euros, like having to go again and kind of get, not that he wasn't fit, but to get match fit again for the Euros after finishing the season with Arsenal, even though the gap wasn't even that big. Now doing it like again, and opposite way. Now you're going from the Euros back to club football, and like what Sam says, Grealish, the boys have been there for a little while now. The head start is ridiculous, and I don't know. Could we see like just an overall quality drop off for a few weeks, months until, because like these players, they're like yo-yos at the end of the day. They're going from like full on for a couple of weeks and then like not making it far in the Euros and then having a break and go and get married like Ollie Watkins is or whatever, proposing to his missus, and it's hard to go. It's not easy to go back like in and out of all that stuff.
Right. You just maybe look at my 5 players that I bought and are they going to be back? Hang on a minute, what have I done?
Bowen's away. I know Bowen's away. I've seen pictures.
Bowen, yeah, they've all got extended. But Bowen, I assume Bowen will just get rammed straight back in. The plan would be to buy another forward anyway. Torres is back. Anderson's back. Pope never went anywhere.
Same with Kilman.
Kilman never went anywhere. Kilman's still stuck in the international vortex of would like to declare for Ukraine, but FIFA won't let him because of his futsal background. You've seen all that stuff? Nonsense.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Ukraine?
Because he's Ukrainian. Futsal is a FIFA governed sport, so the registrations are the same, which is silly. It's very silly. It's very silly indeed. Summerville confirmed.
He was like captain, wasn't he, of England?
Yep. Harry's away to go buy a Somerville. But yeah, he was like, Harry said he was captain. I didn't know that, but played futsal internationally for England. That's what kind of got him maybe on the radar of whoever plucked him out of non-league or whatever it was. But I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, he's from proper non-league because his move to West Ham got Maidenhead like £3 million or something.
Yeah, Wolves had to like negotiate them down, didn't they? Because they were on for like double that, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't like this because we've just seen this with Riccardo Calafiori as well, haven't we? With Bologna negotiating Basel's 50% stake down. It's like you agreed to the clause.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go back a bit. Like, actually, it's worth quite a lot. Can we make that less? It's not really on, is it?
No.
And the worst part is too is like those teams are incentivized to do it because if they don't do it, they don't get any of the sell-on fee. And if they keep, I talked to someone back in the day, and they were looking into the possibility of buying like a partial stake in like a Danish team or something. And basically, the feedback that was given was like the financial situation is not great, except for they had a 25% sell-on like Yusuf Poulsen, who's at like Leipzig. So it was basically like, and basically he went to Leipzig for more, but they're like, if he gets sold from Leipzig to anywhere and they get 10 million for him and they had a 25% sell on, it's like that saves the financials and makes the financials look amazing. So it's basically like, do you buy into this with the idea of like Poulsen gets sold? So like you said, like Maidenhead, if they're like, look, you take less or we're just going to not sell him. Maidenhead's like, yeah, okay. We need this. Like,
yeah, we're good. Yeah, it's like 3 years budget.
Which is like, yeah, it's awful though. That's awful that's how it goes. Because like you said, like that's negotiable. That was the agreed upon amount. Like,
yeah,
it's funny. I didn't know Andy Laird did talk to Max HG into trying to buy a Danish football team, but there you go.
The Danish team in question that I'm watching right now on my second screen.
I also have that up.
Yeah, against those Andorran farmers.
Yeah, Laird got a Lossell and Korean Timber start together. He probably didn't play them, but he got it. He's been telling me he hates Midland. I got to go see if he actually played it. Because, yeah, Lossell started and then Korean Timber started. And Laird should be thriving, but I'm going to assume he's not. Oh, he actually did play Lossell, though, with Mad Sorensen in a cap 270 lineup, which seems interesting.
Sorensen 72, Lossell 75.
Good start.
Decent.
I've seen worse.
Yeah.
Right, Quinny, have you bought any cards in the champ? So
I've-
we can catch up.
I've not yet. I'm probably not going to. My main plan is probably selling champ in-season cards rather than playing with them, to be quite frank. I know. But the price of them, like, looking at some of yours, I'm thinking, well, if there was somebody I wanted, maybe I would get them. But
There's a John McGinn auction out.
yeah, I could do, maybe a wee rare again wouldn't hurt me. But one thing I was thinking about just now in terms of like the usage of these cards and stuff. So I was looking at yours. I was really surprised. Harry said to me before we came on, like, "Oh, Sam's been busy today."
Sam's gone mental this afternoon. Yeah,
He's lost his marbles.
And I found it surprising because, like, just like how you've played the game already and the sort of, just the sort of cards you've been picking up previously. And when I was looking at who you've got here, I was thinking, oh, well, depending on how you're shaking this out, there is a lot of utility to be had for the, I was looking at Aston Villa because I know that's your team, but we're still to get info on like Champions League, Europa League utility and stuff like that, what the special weeklies will be and stuff like that. So especially with the champion cards, like maybe this like non-premium might change after that, perhaps when you see. I know you've not got tons of them, but
we'll see. I don't know. I mean, we've seen in the past, right? We've seen all sorts of different price graphs off the first auctions. We've seen, we've seen the first one be obviously very, very high, and then it all taper off. We've also seen, for example, we've also seen, for example, like the first one go, and people go, "Oh, that wasn't that much," and then people start to pile in, and 2 and 3 and 4 go up a little bit, and then go. So you never really know what you're getting into at all. And you're right that this is slightly out of character for me. Although Harry will vouch for me that I had been planning to do this all summer. I went dormant for 3 months, so I didn't do anything at all, knowing that I needed to save my pennies. Because honestly, Quinny, I'm pretty sick of, as much as I've enjoyed playing with like Danish, Russian, Croatian card, like it's all part of the fun. Like getting information about these guys is so annoying and in part so difficult, and it's all starting to turn towards paid services and stuff like that. And there was a part of me that was just like, wouldn't it be better if I could just Google stuff in my own language? Like, how many times do you have to write Fedor Smolov in Russian in Google to get his injury updates before you go, you know what, let's just buy Max Kilman? Yeah, and that was kind of where I've got to it after 3 years or so. I've kept a bunch of those cards. I love my Barrios, love my Victor Klassen, and I'll keep them. But I really just wanted to join like the real world for a bit. I don't know. Maybe that was.
I'll tell you what's worse. So what's worse is, so you guys don't do college football or anything, but so I do a lot of stuff with college football. When you have to search something on Josh Johnson, and there's like 8,000 Josh Johnsons. It's like you search Josh Johnson, and it's just the worst feeds ever. It's like, all right, I guess I'm just not finding out anything on this guy at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. What's worse, getting 8,000 results or none?
True. At least in the 8,000, there's probably what you're looking for.
So it's a bit of a change of strategy, but look, we're playing the game, aren't we? And they've changed the game. This is the new format. Let's play the game. I was quite critical of people back in whenever it was, February, March, for flaking out and being worried, and I was like, look, this is the game. Like, you can't be scared. You can't be scared of change. So then I wanted to join in and back myself. I mean, I looked at the limited prices this morning and I nearly did flake out, but the rare has turned out to be a bit better, I think.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Some of the prices you picked up there. And again, I think that part of it, like if you're playing so rare and you're thinking, right, I'm going to be a limited player, you're never going to look at the price of the rares anyway. And then if there's just more demand into the limiteds, that's maybe why some of the multiples are a bit punchier. But no, I mean, I feel that pain. I kind of done something similar with Celtic and I suppose Champ with super rares and stuff like that. So I definitely feel that. And I guess with these, you're going to be running in season. That is the plan with them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of classic stuff, right? I have a Granada stack and a Barrios and a Misic and a Musasilla and all. I've got tons of stuff to run in classic, and I'll have my fun with that. And hopefully I'll win some cards. Probably not, but hopefully I'll win some cards and I can sell them. But yeah, let's. I said to myself, let's have at least one in season one running like that. I'm trying to play the game and I'm trying to enjoy the game, and I think to enjoy it to its fullest here, you're going to have to run something in season as well. You can't just stick to 8 classic lineups, in my opinion. Anyway, some people may disagree.
Especially with cap gone as well, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
in season is the new cap at the end of the day, and I know it's in a different way and harder and more expensive, but that's just what this game's had to go. The route it's had to go down for it to survive at the end of the day. Like the cap wasn't sustainable, we all know that, and this is the way it's going to have to go. And like Sam said, you either play it and back yourself, or you don't, and that's fine. Like both are fine. But it's not, I think it is, optimally. You want your gallery to be, in the ballpark of trying to win a bit of cash, as well as your essence, as well as your card. Like you want, if you've been around for a while, I know, buying in season, you can play in season by winning cards, but that's going to require you to do that over an extended period of time if you're not going to put money into it at the start. So, I think people who are willing to are going to have a head start. And they kind of deserve it because they've kind of put the money in, early doors. Sorry.
Yeah, my 5.5% cards are going to batter your 5% cards, all of you that haven't won. But yeah, come on, lads. I'll beat you all.
Got to use those level ups early.
My Joachim Andersen
Get
is stronger than
percentages up
all
early.
of your Joachim Andersens.
Well, you've got a bit of West Ham collection on the go here. Kilman and Bowen are both on 6%.
Of course. Oh, I'm going to win it all.
Now you got to buy West Ham. Now you got to buy the whole West Ham collection. Like we're going to see like an Areola come in. Kudos, all these guys. All right.
Jeez.
I got to hop off though. Thanks for having me, guys. We'll catch
Pleasure
you
as always.
See you. Bye.
Nice one, mate. See you in a
Cheers.
bit.
See you soon, Johnny Boy.
Did you guys talk about specifically some of the prices of some of the Saudi linked cards?
No.
I found them very interesting.
Harry's a bit to sell some.
Harry's has gone to Saudi himself. Like Edison.
Who'd you have in mind?
Edison. Have a look at Edison. His first auction. This was so tempting, but in rare at least, yeah.
So let's see. Oh, yeah, not that bad in the grand scheme of things.
260. Wow.
So it wasn't much, considering. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot of games for possibly the best team in the world. But of course, these Saudi rumors won't go away, and it plays on people's minds. And some people can afford or are willing to take the risk, and some people are not. But it is literally a massive gamble. But like, if you get that right, look at the price that people have managed to get Edison for. Like, Emi Martinez went for 550 straight up.
Raya went for like $1,000.
Raya was, a hell of a lot of money. My Nick Pope, I thought, started to look like quite good value at that point. I did try for a Jordan Pickford as well, but he drifted into like the 410, 420, 440 sort of area. So if you get it right with Edison there, if you gamble right, that looks fantastic. And I'm sure that's going to happen to a couple of the other cards as well. And I was interested to see that Kevin De Bruyne's price was very stable because he's going to go to Saudi probably, but not this year. And so from an in-season perspective, who cares what he does in a year? It shouldn't.
Do you think KDB will go to Saudi? You think he's got that in him?
I think he will go next summer, but it's just a guess. But I think he will. But that doesn't matter, right? For the first auction of the in-season, like, you're buying this card to try and win cash for this season. Okay, there's a percentage value at the end that needs to be considered, but you don't actually need to worry about that for like 30 weeks.
Yeah, fair. I don't know. I think I always thought he'd been an America boy. I thought De Bruyne would be an MLS lad. And I know the Saudi rumours are pretty strong and all that, but I'm just surprised to hear you say that. I don't know.
You just have assumed that he's going to pop up in an NYC shirt.
No, well, I thought he was linked to like San Diego or something like that. As much as NYC would be great, of course, but I thought he was linked to one of these new teams to be to get the Messi treatment, get a wee slice of ownership and get a wee fancy pad and, get a cut of some merch sales or whatever they're doing now to get players over. I don't know.
I mean, so I know you don't mean specifically San Diego, but you do need one of the new franchises to behave a little bit more like Inter Miami, and San Diego are run by the same guys that run Nord-Zealand.
Oh, really?
And so they are not going to be doing that stuff. They've got Marcus Ingvartsen going over, and I think Biskov as well. So they've got 2 Danish players heading over in February once the winter break hits in Denmark. They're going to be building another like smart club, I think, over there, or the signs suggest that's the case. But I mean, there's like LAFC, for example, like they're always on the lookout for someone. It just kind of feels like Saudi. I don't know, man. Just kind of feels like it.
He has a lot of money, I suppose. People do get used to that cheddar coming in.
No one's safe. One of my friends is going out there. He's been recruited. Like, he works in social media. He's been recruited by a Saudi club to run the content.
Wow.
Good for him. Good for him. Got his goodbye party in about 3 weeks. And they're finding talent wherever, Quinny. They are relentless. They will not stop.
And the transfer window, I've been more looking at it on the positive side of things. We also had the news in the chat earlier about Somerville going to West Ham. You've also picked up on the Kilman. I know he's in a West Ham card now, but that was a earlier summer transfer. But for me, like, I've not seen that many. I've seen a lot of exciting transfers this window. We've seen Jake O'Brien confirmed to Everton earlier today or yesterday or something as well. Simon, I've not heard your voice in a while. How do you feel about the transfer window? Has it screwed your gallery over? Has it made you tempted to go get a bit of reinforcements into the club? How's the transfers been treating you?
Not really. I just don't know if you noticed Harry's note on the comments there. Not in particular, mate, to be honest. A lot of mine are contender cards. There's not been a huge amount of transfers, some sort of minor ones. A couple of the Rodez boys have flown the nest, unfortunately. Their best player has actually gone over to Rapid Vienna.
Raul, yeah.
Raul, yeah. So that actually wasn't a bad transfer. It's a pretty good transfer. I think he should play, and he's played their European games so far. So that looks pretty decent. Other than that, in terms of champ, I mostly play my Liverpool collection, and there hasn't been that many transfers there. Obviously, the players that re-released at the end of the season, hasn't been many incomings, many outgoings there. So it's been pretty quiet. I do own De Bruyne, so I was keeping a close eye on that. But other than that, mate, it's been pretty quiet, to be honest. But I think I was actually saying to some of my friends the other day, I think there'll be a lot of panic buying at the end of this window. I can see with Europe and the Olympics and all that sort of stuff. There'll be a lot of panic buying towards the end of the window, and you just gotta take it as it comes and try and react as quickly as possible, haven't you, at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's been it.
Pretty much, yeah. And last summer was the shock, wasn't it? That's when people started taking hits, and we weren't really sure how to take it. I think some of us, because it was very new and very weird. Yes, we all lose players to red X's, but usually it's just Yaroslav Rakitsky because he's too old. It's not like, oh my god, you've just taken this guy off me and this guy off me in his prime. So it was a bit weird, and I lost. Christ, what's his name? I've completely forgotten his name now. Gabri Vega. I lost Gabri Vega to Saudi Arabia, which was a real stinker. But this time, I think maybe we're just a little bit more prepared for it and more at peace with it. So it might happen. Probably helps that like the value of classic cards has for the most part dipped. So like in terms of what you may lose, in terms of how far that card may fall, it's not as severe. So it's been like a bit of a soft landing into that in a way. But a bunch of my super rares are now unemployed. I really hope they get jobs soon. But right now they are unemployed, and it isn't quite kind of annoying.
Still got 15 of them. Fair play.
It's like the lads from the second division in France. They're just like they're being quite slow at choosing their next destination. I would like them to hurry up.
It's funny that you mentioned Fedor Smolov earlier, because I've got Chalov, and he's actually been on his way over to PAOK,
Yes.
in Greece, which is a bit annoying. I think it's going to be a blue X because I think they're in Europe, aren't they? So rather than a red X, but yeah, I got his rare, but it's one that I bought ages ago for a couple £100 and I've just held it and it's now worth about £30. But he's still a good player. He's a good player out in Russia, and I'm sure he'll do all right over there. But
He's mid-20s, right? He might just come back in a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like at this point, and this is the sort of situation we've all got to like recently. At this point, he's going to be what? It must be a 10% card or close.
Yeah.
So like, you might as well just hold on to him.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point in taking £30 if in a year he comes back and you have a 10%? Like, he just goes back to CSKA Moscow or whatever, and you've got a 10% striker. Yeah.
In the spirit of the Ederson thing you were just saying there, it's been a little comment in the chat set me off on one. How many rare Chelsea goalkeepers do you think are on auction right now?
Oh, well, there's about. Jeez, I mean, they've got 65 senior goalkeepers, so times that by 4. They've got. I'm going to go with 14.
20.
10.
Oh,
no Jorgensen.
Kepa, Sanchez, Petrovic, and then there's a guy I've never heard of,
Bettinelli.
Bergstrom, Bettinelli. Yeah, no Jorgensen yet, and then they want another one as well, don't they? They want Penders.
Yeah, that's done. I don't know if they're going to take him into training or if they're just going to leave him where they found him. But
they should probably leave him where they found him. That's a lovely way of putting it, Quinny.
Yeah.
AKA loan him back. I mean, what they're doing with this stuff is bonkers to me, particularly with the goalkeepers. Just like a lack of joined up thinking, isn't it? Because I'm pretty sure Maresca was pretty firm when he signed the deal that he was very happy with Robert Sanchez.
Yeah,
and the club are more than happy with that. And then like 2 weeks later, they were like, let's get back to the market. And Jurgensen had a good season. He had a good season.
Stats were okay, weren't they?
Seems comfortable on the ball. We'll see how it goes. I assume this means the club actually want to sell Petrovic, which feels quite harsh. I quite liked Petrovic last season.
No Jorgensen. I quite like Petrovic as well. I think he made the jump from MLS to Chelsea like pretty well. You know, still a good shot stopper and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's just absolutely. I've never been convinced by Jorgensen. I was actually looking at goalkeeper statistics yesterday, so he does read well. Jorgensen, you know, he was top for saves in La Liga, and I think there was one or two other stats that were quite favourable for him. But yeah, I've just never been too convinced. So I think if Chelsea, you know, I think Robert Sanchez is probably the guy that will probably be number one. But why would they sign Jorgensen for so much money and bring him immediately into the fold? It's baffling, isn't it?
Do they still have Slonina as well?
Yes, of course they do.
Yeah.
Name a goalkeeper. He is employed by Chelsea.
Yeah.
Someone won a Chelsea Jorgensen. Yeah.
What? Okay.
Must have been in the buy one get one free dynamic.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's quite cool. That's like that. That is actually quite cool. I haven't yet managed to win a bonus card. 5 attempts. I'm not like I'm not. That's the way I speak about it. I'm not owed anything. Obviously, I know it's a 10 or 5% chance. But after the 5th one, I was like, oh,
come on, man.
Come on! I have to buy a 6th one.
I felt that with mine as well. See, with the first one, I was like, "Oh, I'm buying a Celtic striker. I'm going to get one here." Like, a Celtic striker should be a card that pays out, you know. But no, it wasn't.
That's how I felt with Nick Pope. That didn't quite happen.
Yeah, big chunky goalkeeper. I'd have thought that. I'd have been definitely like, "Oh, come on."
So I'm going to finish my team off. I'm going to try to by buying a classic Maddison.
Ooh, punchy.
Yeah, there's a little cluster of midfielders that I really like in the sort of £200 to £250 range that I think I can finish the team off with. And I think midfield is where I can put the classic big ticket item. And I have been mulling Maddison versus Bruno Guimaraes versus Moises Caicedo, and they're all big scorers. We'll see what comes up with the best deal. I think Caicedo is 3rd in that mini ranking. I think Maddison and Bruno's decisive potential sort of trumps the other one. But I will start to get very excited about my team when one of those two individuals is slap bang in the middle with the captain's armband, then I'll look at it and be like, okay, now we're having some fun.
Let's cook. I was surprised you put Caicedo into that 3. He's obviously very 70 capable on his AA alone, you know. But yeah, fair enough.
He is
Chelsea
third
are in Europe, aren't
they?
they? Chelsea are in Europe.
They are, yeah. I don't know how seriously they're going to take that. I mean, Spurs are in Europe as well, right?
Yeah, that would push me towards Bruno.
Yeah, and you're not wrong, are you? And I've got Pope, and I tried to get Fabian Schär earlier, and I probably will return to that to pair up with Pope. So there is a sneaky feeling inside me that Newcastle with no midweeks is a bit of a fearsome prospect, and literally buying into that feels like a good idea. I will never be able to afford Isak, I don't think, but it's okay. You can get around it by getting a spine together and then adding the bits on top. The Gordon price was high, I think.
Oh yeah,
I think it was, if from memory.
Somebody mentioned Gordon earlier in the position change chat, and I was thinking
he's a forward card. Was he forward early before?
I think he was always forward, but I may be wrong. But he is definitely a forward now.
I'm just waiting to check the old. I've always known him to be a forward. If he was not, I've missed it. Sorry.
425, 428. So that must be about the same as Isak, if not higher. Isak was. I mean,
the Liverpool rumours helped that be a bit punchy.
Isak was like £100 less or 120 less.
Wow.
Maybe the Liverpool rumours are pumping that a bit. Yeah, maybe you're right. I've got this memory of. I'm pretty sure Pranksy hit a few massive scores and wins last season with a Newcastle stack.
Yeah,
and while that's not exactly a strategy to copy, or it is in parts, I think tied with the fact that they've got no midweek, so they can just really ramp up that Eddie Howe energy. Do you think they could easily hit a few more teams for 5 or 6, and you just have to be on the right week.
Tonali?
Yeah, have you seen his price considering he hasn't played for a year?
Yeah,
it's too much.
Why is it? Oh.
It's too much. In my opinion, anyway.
Fair.
He's always felt overpriced to me, Tonali. But then I've got a reputation in Newcastle of hating Tonali, so you can't listen to me.
I think you're right about Newcastle, though. Lack of midweeks, full week rest between games.
Mate, £100 to behave. That's not bad.
No, that's not too bad. No, it's not too bad.
Instant buy. Two of them. Auctions will go below that. It's kind of funny how they have put this ceiling on the market, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. When Laird messaged me and said they've released instant buy, and they clearly have done it following the first auction of every card. And I thought, I don't like the sound of that. And then I thought, I better go and check my 5 cards to see what they've done. And a couple of them are a bit more. So Torres I bought for 30. His instant buy got set at 50. I felt good about that. A couple of them though, like Bowen is about the same. Pope is maybe a 10 or more. So they're using that first auction to set the market and then offering the volume. I don't really know how I feel about that, but I can't change it. So I don't know. Is that good or bad?
Do you think Villa are going to suffer the same as Newcastle did last season with the busy schedule and squad depth and whatnot?
I don't think the number of games is going to be a problem. It was a problem last year because Villa only had about 14 players that were fit. Got a lot of players now. We're actually probably need to sell a couple to get into the squad limits. Like because of the returning injuries and the 6 or 7 players that Villa have bought, suddenly we're at 28. So we've got a lot of players. I think the truth, I think we're going to be slow starters this year. So we started fast last year and sloped off. And I think it might be the opposite this time around because we do have so many new players to bed in. Watkins and Konsa and a few others are so late back from the Euros. No one really knows what the system's going to be. No one really can second guess what Emery's going to do. We're pretty sure that it's going to be fine, but it might be a bit of a slow start. I am a little bit worried about that. And West Ham away feels like a horrible first game as well. And it's a problem for my five cards because I've got Bowen and Pau Torres and they're playing against each other. So I've got to do something about that as well. they can't be in the same team because you can't really win in that scenario, can you? So yeah, I actually don't think the schedule is going to be that much of a problem. The depth that's been acquired is really impressive. I just think it's going to take 2 months for it all to gel together. And that means that actually across the board in all competitions, there will just be a slow start or some dodgy results or whatever. That's my actual fear.
That's what I've got for Villa.
Oh.
I was going to say on that, but I think the one thing that's maybe missing from that is like European football is now totally different, you know, in terms of the match schedule, the amount of matches, and everything else that goes around it. So it's maybe something that everyone's in the kind of, which is why I'm like, when I was saying to you about those three, like I really do right now prefer guys that don't play midweeks, because God knows how that is really going to go on a lot of different levels for Sorare and real life.
Yes, true. And you'd expect really like Maddison to just be nowhere near those Europa League midweeks, right? Like
Maybe.
Like hopefully, like you would expect like Lucas Bergvall to just like get his time in that respect. But again, it's another pointer towards Bruno, because it's not even possible for him to play.
I would say Ange has obviously developed and maybe changed ever so slightly, but I think he has played the strongest team possible in dead rubber games in Europe as a Celtic manager, if you get me.
Oh.
So, but he might change his ways, because everyone was telling him last season he'd have to change his ways in England, and he was being pretty stubborn with it. But like you do feel that naturally there does need to be a bit of adaptation.
Yeah.
So that was just something that came to my mind just now. It depends. I think like if he doesn't play one Europa League game, he won't play any of them. But like his thing is always like, I'm just preparing to win this game, mate. Leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah, of course. but there are players in that squad that require playing time. So like
Fair.
Radu Dragoshin, for example, like he's gonna have to play on Thursdays. Like you can't not play him on Thursdays, otherwise what the hell are we doing? And it's the same for, you know, whoever the odd forward out is. So possibly Brennan Johnson or whoever. Like maybe that's, you know, that's a bit harsh on him actually, because he's quite good. But yeah, those kind of guys, Lucas Bergvall
or someone.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever is the odd one out at the time has to play. And Dragoshin, like that's got to be his time. Ben Davies, it has to be your time, because if it's not, when do you play? So he will, of course, try and win those games, but I don't know. You're making me want to cancel the offer I sent for James Maddison now. I've got some thinking to do, man. Like I feel like I can't really go too wrong, but then you just get like that paralysis of choice, because you're like, well, I could have either, so who shall I have? And I'll have to think about it a little bit.
I was going to throw another interesting name into this, and again, it's kind of flavoured with the whole no midweeks thing. In terms of power mids that there could be in the Prem, since that's what we're kind of chatting on now, Wharton at Crystal Palace could be a mad year for him.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was a hell of a signing, wasn't it, from Blackburn, and when the new manager came in at Palace, they started playing three at the back, didn't they? And slotted him in there in that CDM role, and it worked like magic. He even looked impressive when Elise and Eze were coming in and out of the squad through injuries and stuff. He still looked extremely impressive. So I think it could be, and just going to the Euros and having that experience at the Euros with the England first team. He's a great scorer last season. I think it would just improve on it this season.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've ever looked at how Wharton scores.
Oh,
Look at that.
He does all right. He does all right. He's kind of got a bit of the Caicedos, but he can pass forward, you know.
Yeah, he really does. There's some lovely stuff in there. Really nice stuff. He's a bit Caicedo-y, isn't it, really? That first one went for a lot.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, his first, well, by first, I mean, obviously, the two of. There's a big climb down from 2 to 3 there. £230 down to 137. Whew. Bought by a man named Serious Sam. A very serious deal indeed. Yeah, that was a big climb down. I mean, if new in-season Wharton's going at 130, and you're looking at those scores, that looks pretty attractive. Again, just a night of shocks for me. Like, hope it's not indicative of something, you know, nefarious. But like, I just can't I'm struggling to believe how affordable a lot of it is. Like genuinely,
Well-
I'm just bracing myself for the worst.
I was going to make a wee joke earlier, Sam, when you were chatting about getting into or getting out of the Google searches in Russian. Because I was going to make a wee joke saying like you're ITK now. You're in the inner circle of the Premier League, so you know stuff before it's news. Maybe, who knows? But
It's not that. It's I don't want Homeland Security knocking on my door. Look at what's your Google searches. Why are you typing in Cyrillic?
But oh crap! I've totally lost where I was going to go with that. But what was the last thing we just said there?
I just
Sorry.
said that I'm shocked. I'm continually shocked tonight at how affordable it's felt like.
Oh yeah, I know you're a mad busy man and stuff. But Harry did a great podcast with Feda earlier on, and they were going through like building a team, the prize pool, cost per player, cost per star player, that kind of thing. And kind of the numbers, like when you look at the prize pool, they are quite sober. You know, it's not like as mad as we got with the Celtic cards and all that, where it was just way out of kilter. It's more that these prices are maybe a bit more adjusted for like trying to win the prize pool in front of you rather than just, you know, what is the prize pool? Who cares? Give me the cards. You know, like, you know, kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's maybe just more that it's the prices, the market reflects the prize pool probably quite neatly, and that's why you can get a wee Torres for 30 quid all of a sudden.
Yeah, maybe. I just kind of expect it to pick up as we get onto the eve of the season. But
Yeah,
I expect a U shape on the price graph. Like start high, dip off probably in a week, and then go back up again in 2 weeks for the start of the season. But looking at this, and I'm not convinced it's going to be the same. It might be in limited, to be clear, but I'm not necessarily seeing the bones of that in rare. I'm just really surprised. I saw a comment on YouTube saying Pranksy's been awfully quiet. Maybe that's why we can all afford these cards.
Yeah.
Seen,
I wonder what he's waiting for.
I don't know.
Yeah. Basil tweeted 20 minutes ago saying pausing trading to let prices settle.
What's been going on while I've been on this stream? Has everyone gone mad?
His bot's probably malfunctioning like mad.
Do I need to go and sell all my cards for 3 times the price?
I'm just waiting for my Motherwell stack to win the SPL comp at the weekend, and I'll go all in Prem next week.
Well, you're against my goalkeeper, so I hope not.
Celtic always concede.
No.
But so did Motherwell, so that's the problem.
I've got a message from Laird saying, "Wow, Rakitsky slander."
I think that may have been the disrespectful chat he gave us earlier.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I guess so. Sorry, Laird. Sorry.
I was just waiting to try and pull a price graph. You off? I don't think we've got long left anyway, so it's just me and Sam now. But good to see you, Simon. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Nice.
Cheers, lads. Take care.
What did what happened to the unique battle for Foden and Saka? Is it finished yet?
Oh, I didn't actually gander that.
Bellamar and somebody else with a lot of money were battling for Foden.
Let's have a peek.
Pranksy's only buying uniques according to the chat. That's brilliant.
That's the move to make for him, isn't it? Bellamar gets it.
Surely means that he's. Let's have a look.
And Saka was the other one you said, yeah?
Yeah, so it's 14,500. Yeah, Saka and Xerxes was the 3 that they put on immediately.
Saka's still running.
What's it on?
It's on 13.1k.
Okay.
Xerxes. Man United. Yeah, Man United cards. Maybe I've got a wee premium there. Oh, he's still running as well. It's only at 200. Nobody's bidded.
It's cheap.
Yeah. Especially if the site crashes now.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Those are the ones I was sending my friends who don't play so rare. They were like, "What are the prices like?" Because I've been mentioning this. I was like, "Oh, here's Foden." They were like, "Oh my god!" I sort of neglected to mention that was the unique. Yeah. That was not what I was dealing in whatsoever.
It'll give them a big scare for sure.
Michael Pompey says JRG. Yeah, I think JRG was involved as well, or maybe it was Bellamar and Duke on one, and then Bellamar and somebody else on the other. I can't remember, but yeah,
8k for Donnarumma. Yeah, fair. Well,
unique.
Yeah, I think so.
Fair play.
Doubt that's a super rare these days.
Well,
I think that's what everyone's kind of doing now, Sam, isn't it? For the season, it's like just focus on like you. What do you actually want to win this year? You know, like, or Would you actually want to craft in, or
what do you
pull
want to
cards from?
watch?
Which one I watch?
Like, or what do you want to keep track of? I think definitely like part of my move into Premier League as well is that just like when I buy all these Danish cards and Russian cards and stuff, I spend my time watching the games on stream. Yes, Judge, you got at least say that's what happened. Nice one. I spend all my time watching the games on stream, and I'm definitely missing the football that I'm meant to be watching for my job, like the actual stuff, like the real games between actual football teams. And it probably just makes me less effective at my job. So maybe if I just pull it all into the Premier League, it makes me better at my job. And I'm working with Southampton again this season. Yeah, I found out a couple of days ago that I'd already worked with them for 6 years before last season. They got relegated, so I lost my columnist job with them for the program and the magazine and the website. And they've got promoted, so I'm back on board. So again, I think part of my mind is just like, let's really nail this Premier League thing, right? And let's make sure that, you know, when I've got like a 3 p.m. to choose, make it Palace because I've got a Joachim Andersen. Because that's how it works, isn't it? If you've got a card in play, you're like, I might watch that. I'm actually quite interested in that. So let's make it Bowen. Let's make it Anderson. Let's not make it Wilmar Barrios and Victor Claesson.
Yeah. That's kind of how my weekends all shake out, is like, where are my players? And then what time do the games kick off? And then who will I watch? So yeah, I'm definitely with you on that.
Although I haven't been able to watch a Russian game for over a year. I don't know if you've tried, but all the streams are blocked in the UK. From what I can tell, I have not been able to watch a single game for over a year. All those points,
I give up.
All those points Wilmar Barrios scored me in the last year, and I haven't seen a single kick of the ball. I haven't seen any of them.
Ooh. Lenny Yoro, fractured metatarsal.
Crap.
Just when you think Man United are going to get it right, eh?
Yeah, I kind of just feel really sorry for them because they're finally, as you say, starting to turn the corner in terms of like the process and the recruitment and behaving like a football club. You know, like actually getting Xerxes because the agent commission was so high, the old board would never have paid that. They would never have got Xerxes. Like the commission was like 10, 12 million euros. They'd have been like, no thanks, bye, and been as cheap as possible. But this time they were like, right, no, he's a good player. Let's get him. Let's get it done. And they are starting to turn that corner. And then Yoro is just, and then you just try as you might. And then you end up with Ian Soares centre-back partnership.
Yeah.
First game of the season. It's an absolute disaster. Oh, man. Tough one.
Gaza's kind of in the same boat as us as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the season ahead. For Champ Euro, like I'm definitely in the same frame of mind. I'm more like club focused rather than league focused. So I don't think I'll play any of the leagues for Champ. It'll be mainly like the actual region for me because my players are kind of scattered all over the shop. But like I've not really been watching MLS for the last year, and outside like the teams that are kind of good for making content for and I've got cards for, it's only really Celtic I'm watching these days. And I think like your SO5 suffers when you're like, see, whenever you're picking players and you've got no real idea about how good they're actually doing, you end up, it bites you in the ass at some point. You know, it's just unavoidable, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, I'd agree. There is a question here from Daniel asking about Villa's midfield. So the answer is don't know.
Take your pick.
Take your pick. I would imagine that because Emery is traditionally very slow at bringing in new players and blooding in new players, he likes to give them a bit of time. I would not be surprised if the opening game of the season was like Tielemans and Barkley in centre mid, although there is an obvious case for taking Onana straight in there, particularly since West Ham is a team full of 6'6" bullies, and Onana would be a great tonic to that. I think the general plan is to move towards Onana and Tielemans as a pairing. Tielemans becomes Douglas Luiz, Onana becomes Boubacar Kamara. All of this while Kamara is injured, and then when he's back, we'll see. So I think that is where Emery's head is at right now. I think Rodgers is going to end up as a support striker. I don't think he's going to play much on the left for very long or much longer.
Yeah,
because Ramsey will end up back over there. McGinn will spend some time over there. Eiling Jr., Matson may play left mid. I don't know. We'll see what happens over on the left side. As you can see, there's so many players and so many options for Lejeune too. There's just way too many left wing options now, I think, for Rodgers to be playing much time over on the left, particularly since I look at him and I'm like, I think you're a central player, you're a striker, and you're going to grow into one. So I think he might. And there was a little bit at this end of last season as well. He tried to play Rodgers as a support striker. Did it for half an hour against Brighton, but then Rodgers did his hamstring and had to come off. I think that's where Emery's head is at. So, bit of rejigging there, and it won't start how we actually want it to look. But I think in the end it will be Tielemans and Onana centre mid, and then a flurry of wingers, and maybe Rodgers is supporting Watkins. It's quite exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of options there for sure. I was quite impressed with Rodgers. You kind of see like, Middlesbrough's doing all right. Aston Villa have signed him. But like he could go by people, like he was a proper traveller. Like, he would go from the halfway line to the box in no time. Not that he's quick, but like he's direct and people don't move him. Like
yeah, he's got this like I don't want to say Yaya Toure because it's such a ridiculous comparison. But the way he swats people off him when he runs is a bit Toure, but it's also a bit like Morgan Gibbs-White. The way Morgan Gibbs-White drives in and just explodes out of the blocks, and then you try to sort of claw him back, and he just goes off, get off me, and just swats people away. He's such a strong upright runner, and so Rodgers has that capability with the ball. He's a little bit messy though, like technically. Gibbs-White is really sound technically, and Rodgers' passing is a bit skew-if, and he's got a bit to do there. What comes at the end of the run often isn't great. But the fact that he has literally just run 50 yards upfield is amazing because he's already beaten 3 players and completely changed your situation. So I've been massively impressed. He doesn't have any cards as far as I can see so far. I'm a bit disappointed in that, but I will be there no matter what when they are out.
I didn't even think to look for him as well.
They weren't there at the first go, so I don't know. We'll see.
He's a Rodgers, not a Rodgers, isn't he?
Yeah, there's no D.
Oh yeah, no cards still. Okay. Well, we're about to descend into an Aston Villa show, so I think that might be when we know we've ran the doors. Yeah. We've had plenty of people here for the stream. Thanks to all the guests that were here earlier on. If you've been watching this after we've been live, all the guests will have some sort of link in the description of this video, so you can find them on whatever social media they like to hang out in and put stuff on. Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure, my man. The last man standing, Sam Ty, the football guy. Love to see it, my man.
True, but I did arrive 45 minutes late, so you can't give me too much credit. It's just look, it's fitting. The Olympics is on. It's a relay race. I did the final 100 meters.
That's it. Love it. And again, thanks to everyone in the live chat. I hope you hit the like button when you were here. I hope you had a good time tonight. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.